Yeah, that's good enough. What's up, MSFers? Hey. So, do you like the changes coming to war? That's what I want to know. What do you think about offensive boosts to the secret defenders, defensive boosts to mutants, the possible rework of Thanos and friends, and of course, 6+4. If you don't know what I mean by 6+4, that's 6 energy at the start of war with the ability to use your 4 purchases right off the bat to give you that 10. And then 12 hours later, they give you another 4 energy. So that's what I want to talk about today, and I don't have a whole lot to do. Just my dailies and stuff. I'm going to dick around. There's no defense up recordings. Everybody kind of wants to wait on their Crucible defense up reviews because we have the new defense rules coming into play soon, and so going over these for one last week is really kind of pointless. And yeah, so I'm just gonna do like arena attacks and maybe a blitz rotation. Blitz check. I don't know where I'm at on blitzes, but I probably got to do a rotation. I've been at work all morning long. Yeah, so we're gonna dick around and talk about that. It's just gonna be a chatty Monday. So yeah, let's get started. What's up, Midnight? What's up, Pants? What's up, Saini? What's up, Sifu Shan? Hello, Rolf Karen. Todd, how you doing? Gnome's in the house. Charizarding is best, he says. Subscribing for 1 month. Gnomes, you're freaking amazing. Appreciate that very much. Rello, how's it going? Beta the Ray Bill. What's up, Beta Ray? Dadpool Games and Ray Varn, how you guys doing? I'd rather just get the 10 up front. Ray Varn, that is, that's what we told him when we took the call. Well, I wasn't on the call. I watched the recording of the call. No one was excited about that. So let's jump into that right off the bat. The reason that they told us this, and I understand that they're gaslighting us. We understand that most of what they do on those calls is gaslighting us as though we're too stupid to figure out the real reasons. What they told us this reason is for is because they want to run events where you get points for doing war attacks, whether it be alliance-wide or individual. And the problem is that war will start and some people are in bed sleeping. And when they wake up, their alliance mates have done 14 attacks and their helicarrier is cleared and they didn't get to do shit. And so they don't want that to happen. They want it to be a total of 10 attacks so you can still finish and be done with your normal 10 attack. Like almost every alliance in MSF says a 10 attack minimum in war, right? That's like a standard for alliances, and they know that. And so they're giving us the ability to get our 10 attacks done without soaking up all of the extra attacks, making sure that when Sleepy Jim gets his ass out of bed, he still has rooms to attack and can get those points for events. Now that's a bunch of bullshit and we all know it. The real reason for 6+4 is because they know we are supposed to be doing 10 attack minimums for most alliances. And we're gonna get up and we're gonna do 10 attacks. And guess what that requires? It requires us to use our war attack purchases, right? We have to go in there and use this currency. We have to use those war credits. And they want us, well, not those war credits, the war attack credits. Maybe that is the war credits. I don't remember. No, that's not it. Our war attack energy, you guys know what I'm talking about. Someplace you can buy them. Oh, here it is, Blitz Store. There, war energy refill, that's what I meant. They want us using the war energy refill to the max every single time. Excuse me, every single time. And then if we want to get more attacks for dropped attacks, then we wait the 12 hours and pick them up. We're all going, I shouldn't say that. I plan on pushing hard on the devs and saying this is crap because I know it's crap, it's garbage. I want to be able to do everything up front. And you know what? If there's stuff going on where your alliance should be doing their 10 attacks and saving it for everybody else, then coordinate with your alliance. They always want us doing these things to coordinate with our alliance, and they even talk about how they're designing room rules with these adjacent things so that we will coordinate with our alliance on where and when to attack and room placement and all of this stuff. But suddenly, oh no, Sleepy Jim's gonna miss out on his 11th war attack because he didn't get out of bed. Why didn't Sleepy Jim coordinate with his freaking alliance? It's bullshit. They want us spending this currency right here. They want us spending this currency so that they can sell more of it. That's what this is about. And it's garbage, and everybody wants their war attacks up front so we don't have to worry about anything. What they need to do is fix the events, not change war to accommodate for a broken event structure. 100% agree. 100% agree. You could make it. Well, if we move to one war zone, and I'm becoming more and more in favor of this, I really didn't care in the beginning, and I was like, well, let's go to 2 and see how that feels. Fuck it, let's just go to 1. If we go to 1 war zone, then they can easily coordinate their events to go over a 2-day period. And that way, the event lasts for 2 days, and you put a cap on it for each individual. It's only good for 10 attacks. And after that, you don't get any more points. So your alliance mates won't be blasting to 14. They could do something like that. They're totally gaslighting the reasons. This has nothing to do with that. It's all about their concerns about lack of screen time. That's the other thing. You have to log back in 12 hours later. They want you to log back in 12 hours later. Thank you. Yes, it's in the Blitz store. Thank you. I found it. Well, Ceci, what they want is they want you to log off and then log back in. They need you to log in and stay for a minimum of 45 minutes is a goal. I don't know if that's, I'm kind of pulling numbers out of my ass here, but they have a goal that they want you to log in for, but they want you to repeatedly log in and hit that goal. So that's why they're making you come back 12 hours later. Yeah, Beta Ray, I don't know about the other envoys. I've heard from some of them. I can't speak for them and I don't want to, but it's my impression that at least some of them are with me. I think Dorky's got a video out saying how much he hates it. It's BS. I don't like it. I don't want it. I think everybody else is gonna hate it. We had it good. Everybody liked it. You could just get in there and go. And I never heard anybody bitching about people stealing their war attacks. I came in late to a war one time and only got to do 8 attacks. It's happened to me. Not a big deal. I just get my ass out of bed. Or I could communicate and say, hey, there's this event coming up. Can we make sure everybody only does 10 attacks? At least until we all get our 10. Or hey, could we, 10 attacks until 6 hours into war. And then if you're late, buddy. Communicate, right? That's what they want us doing, is communicating with our alliance members. There's a reason to communicate. It's a bullshit excuse. They're gaslighting us once again. And I really want the community to push back on this one. I want to see Reddit explode over 6+4. I'm going to be sharing every single negative comment that comes through my Discord about 6+4 into the Envoy server. I want them to know that 6+4 sucks. At least I think it does. I don't know. What do you guys think? What's up, Seamus? How you doing? What's the problem with one Warzone, Beta Ray? Thank you, dear. Ooh, she brought me chicken nuggets. Oh, wow. And ice water. Thank you, hon. Appreciate that. There's been a small minority with a few loud voices voicing their concerns, but it's an alliance management issue and an event structure issue, not that should be solved by changing the war structure. What do you think, Beta Ray, about 2 war zones? Because I kind of feel bad for people on the other side of the planet with 1 time zone. So I thought, why not just do 2? It would be kind of like splitting the difference here, but I don't know. It would be nice if we could get all members to make 10 attacks. 6 plus 4 will give an excuse for those people to do only 6 attacks. I know everybody in my alliance, Crying Joker, is gonna do 10 attacks. I know there's another one coming. Ah, damn it, lost it. I don't agree with your stand on 6 plus 4. To me, we need more reasons to never put down the game. In fact, we need to make this VR or meta compatible. Is that so, Sifushin? Are the wars going to start at event reset? I would hope that they would restart at event reset. Like at server reset prime, right? The, whatever is it, 5 o'clock Scopely time or whenever, I don't know. I don't even check server reset anymore. I play this game when I have time to play this game and I don't worry about anything else. I just can't be that invested in it. I am in the right alliance for the level of competitiveness that I want to play, and it's working out great for me, and that's fantastic. And if you're a person who has timers set for every reset, that's cool. You do you, and I'm not going to judge you at all in that. I used to be that way, and I found it not that much fun. So I would hope that if they did do one Warzone time, it would be at server reset, just to simplify things for me, but I'm not really sure. One Warzone has issues. If you don't change the elo structure significantly, people think that it'll spread out punch-up issues, but what's going to happen is a couple things. 1, international player issues. 2, boosts while needing an update if you're not on the start become less effective. 3, even with changes to matchmaking, you're going to either burn out some alliances with non-stop competitive wars back to back to back, or people will still complain about big punch-ups happening. Beta Ray, I know that they are aware that the elo structure needs to be adjusted for this to happen, but they have not said whether they're actually going to fix that or not. But we've made them very aware of just those concerns. I've heard those exact concerns being posted. I personally don't care. I don't care if it's 1 Warzone or 4. It doesn't matter to me. But, you know, like, I kind of want to get a feel for what you guys think and why, and I'll pass it along to them. That's true, strategist. Thank you for keeping me honest. Well, I think that, I don't know. I blitzed. Sue me. Sorry, these are my nuggets. I just got off work. I ran in here. I didn't have time to eat, so I'm probably going to be eating on stream a lot these days. The other thing is that it takes away the convenience for some alliances to be able to adjust due to players and real-life issues. Maybe people don't have time at all this Saturday for a 3 p.m. war, so they'll move to 9 p.m. the night before. Well, that seems like, are you talking about the alliance would change time zones, would change war zones to accommodate people? That seems like a lot of work. Well, I guess it depends on where Warzone Alpha, let's just call it Warzone Alpha for lack of a better term, if we consolidate into one Warzone. What time does Warzone Alpha start? What days are those on? Oh, I don't, I guess, I like I said, Sassy, I don't do the hardcore stuff. We full clear our helicarriers and we do try to win, but that's about it. I don't know if we've even looked at our war room placement lately. Yes, you did give me the kids plate. I appreciate that, honey. Nothing like a grown man eating from a child's plastic divided plate. What's up, Frosty? I'm not begrudging anybody for the level of activity that they want to play this game. I think it's great that people just really get into game modes and have a lot of fun with it and find that sliver of competitive edge. That's fine with me. I just don't know if, you know, if there's only like 10 alliances doing that, is it worth accommodating those 10 alliances? Granted, those 10 alliances are probably going to be full of the biggest spenders in the game as well, so that tips the scale. And again, I don't care. I don't care whether we do 4, 2, or 1 alpha Warzone. Thanks, Whoops Hammer. Yeah, I brought this haircut back from Oregon. If you don't know and you're not worried, thank a captain or a leader. That is true. That is true. They do good targeting and mark the rooms. They let us know priorities in Discord. They're probably on top of it, and I just haven't been paying attention. So, their reasoning, imagine if you will, top 20 alliances consistently facing each other will burn out top leaders and captains. And if they spread the ELO way out, then similar alliances will complain that the top 10 in war seasons is always the same and no opportunity for others to be able to jump up or higher. Is there a way to solve that problem, Beta? Did you want to jump on voice? Like, you and Ceci are in top alliances. You guys can come on voice in my server if you guys want. Here. I'll go in the voice channel. If you guys want to just come in, just jump into the lobby or the content creator channel and I'll drag you guys in. You can talk to me about this if you want. Or you can stay in chat, I don't care. Is there a way to solve these problems? The reasoning that they gave us for this, how am I muted? That's stupid. There we go. The reasoning that they gave us for 1 Warzone was to make the milestones, the events, easier, so that everything always happens consistently and everything's even for everybody, as even as they, that's what they say, right? Not their exact words, obviously. I'm just wondering if there is a solution, because obviously they want to go to 1 Warzone to simplify things. Is there a way to get everyone into 1 Warzone and it still be fun and fair and competitive? Is there a way to make some sort of a bracket or a tier system? Like, maybe you could have 1 Warzone, like 1 time zone, but you could still have 3 different brackets to be in. And maybe each, I don't know, month or so, the teams are randomly distributed through those 3 brackets. So it would force different matchups. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Eat them like the pelican you are. I didn't get to do shit as the pelican. I pretty much, we're talking about Goose Goose Duck here. I pretty much just got killed in the first 20 seconds of every single match. And if I didn't get killed in the first 20 seconds, I got voted off in the first or second round. There you go, Sassy, exactly. With top alliances only bringing in other big rosters, the top alliances will forever face other top 10 alliances. The only way to ever have a fair war in a single zone would be if war broke people the way Arena does. All random 24 members in a carrier versus another. How would you, Papa Woody, are you talking about like the other 24 people in my helicarrier are not my alliance mates? Is that what you're talking about? It's all a setup. I was a goose nearly 100% of the time. I got to be the duck once, I think, and that was it. And Dorky just kept killing me all the time. It sucks to log into war as a P3 alliance and see Sex Panthers or Onslaught. Yeah, right. What's up, Elder? I have an idea. Unlock all characters and abilities for every player in war, and their skill be the winning factor. Ooh. You know what, Dadpool? I don't think they do that every time, because they would lose the incentive to build characters bigger. They would lose all the incentive for people to build war characters. So they're not going to do that. But what if you had a annual or biannual war where everybody in your alliance got fully maxed out characters, the entire roster, and you got to play war for, like, you know how like the 32-man tournament went on longer? It was like 5 rounds instead of 3 because 32 people. What if you did that and you had like a succession of wars and see who got the highest efficiency score for all the wars? You get more points for clearing the helicarrier, more points for efficient wins, all that. And then there'd be a giant leaderboard. It would cost nothing. It would happen once or twice a year. It would generate a ton of hype because it would be all skill. I think it'd be kind of cool. I don't know. If war was people from my arena shard, I'd quit. Sassy, you're in zone. I don't even know what zone I'm in anymore. I used to pay attention to that shit. I just don't care. I have like 7 great guys and the rest are lazy because I know all the usuals. You're in the lobby now, Beta Rebel. Thank you. What's up, Beta? How you doing?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good now that I'm live streaming. It was a lame day at work. So you don't like the idea of 6+4? You don't like the idea of one war zone? Talk to me about this.
Yeah, no. So when they made the Nowhere Siege changes, the one change that I think universally out of the community was like, God, they better never change this, is the 10 energy up front.
Right.
It made such a foundational shift in terms of people's ability to get in, get what they needed to done in wars and be done with it, and not having to be babysat, every 3 hours and 40 minutes or whatever the energy drop times were before.
Mm-hmm.
And it fundamentally changed, like you were saying, people's interest in war again. It made it fun, it's like I'm not having to sit around and wait for 23 other members of my alliance to get some hits in. I can go in, I can get my stuff done, I can be done for the day. The problem, like you and Dorky talked about it on his video earlier today, and we've been talking about it in the voice movement too, is that there was a leap of faith assumption that Scopely had to take that this was going to translate into less perceived screen time. And we all know that to them and to the mobile game industry, screen time is an important measurement because they believe that emphatically leads to potential revenue. Mm-hmm. The more time you're in game, the more likely you are to buy an offer, right? And so I understand where they're coming from. And so then we made this shift, and then like I was saying in chat, there's a few voices I know in particular who were concerned because of these alliance level events where, or not even alliance level, just war events, where certain members weren't able to get enough hits in. And so there was frustration on a few people's levels about being able to complete those events. Now, most alliances would manage that appropriately. Like, hey guys, there's an event going on, stop, let's make sure everybody gets in their 10 hits. Or if it wasn't a requirement to have a win, but it was just a war hit, then they would sit there, and I know it sounds weird, but they would basically leave a squad or 2 up at the end and say, just go hit it, but lose the battle on purpose, just so that everybody gets an opportunity to make sure they participate.
Right.
We could argue that and I agree, Dorky talked about it earlier today, that the structure of the events is the fundamental problem here. But what they're doing is they're responding or reacting to a small group of voices that have issue with this, by changing the whole structure of war. And that's going to send ramifications down everybody who's used to this now. Because this was such a quality of life change for the players that I think we're going to have a lot of people just like, I'm done with war again, right? And we don't know yet how this 6+4 is going to be. We just know it's 6 up front. We don't know yet when the 4 is coming. You know, if it's coming an hour later or 2 hours later, okay, maybe it's not such a big deal. But if it's 12 hours later, then you're now dealing with the situation like, say, a Zone 4 alliance. Your wars start at 3 p.m. and you won't get the balance of your energy until 3 a.m. People are going to be like pitchforks. This is just crazy.
As it stands, my understanding is it is 12 hours later.
Yeah, see, so that's nuts. So
Yep.
it's being, like you said, gaslighted as the excuse that it's related to the events. Well, if it's related to the events, fix the events.
Right.
That's the fundamental problem. If it's a screen time concern or it's the offer concern, then be upfront about it, right? Don't mask this as something that it's not. And then we'll still argue that it's a bad idea.
Right.
There's other ways that they can fix the perceived revenue issue, I think, on their part, but this has been their standard problem. I'll use a different example. I always talk about, if you go back, unrelated to war, if you go back to when Dark Dimension 5 came out, okay, there were some voices in the community that were frustrated because, you know, it was up to us to do our own theory crafting about who we could bring into that game mode. And some people brought the wrong characters, right? They'd bring Sabretooth or they'd bring Punisher because they were cheap and they basically were just cannon fodder. They didn't work very well. So what Scopely's typical behavior, unfortunately, is they're very reactionary to those voices. And while it may be a small minority, what they do is they hear that and they go, okay, we need to change things up, because that obviously was a concern. Even though it wasn't a concern for the large community,
Right.
it was a small group. So what they do is then they pivot and they give us the whole Apocalypse saga, which basically completely takes away theory crafting under the guise of, we're helping the players so that you're not building the wrong characters.
Right. A lot of the game moved in that direction where they were literally labeling rooms, use Wakandans here, use this team here, because they were taking away the ability to theory craft, thinking that players needed help figuring out what to do when they have an entire program of people who are there to help players understand what the best teams are in compositions.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem, is that they make these large scale pivots like Strategist is talking about it. So they're absolutely overreacting. I call it the pendulum conundrum. They go from one extreme to another. They hear us complain that, you know, we're too war defensive heavy, so then they go too far war offensive heavy, and they just never seem to be able to find kind of that fulcrum or that balance point. It doesn't have to be exactly balanced, but it shouldn't be these extremes.
Well,
and so to me,
I'd like to know where they're getting this idea that they need to make this adjustment to help these players that are not getting their attacks in, that are getting to war late, and everybody else did their 14 attacks. I don't know about the other envoys, but I'm not sending that message into the envoy server. It doesn't seem to be a prevalent complaint so the complaints that we are giving to them are going on deaf ears right now, or some of them. We're getting a mixed bag of results here. But it doesn't seem like a complaint that, you know, it seems like they looked for an excuse to make this happen, which is sad. Now, tell me, what would you think about 10 energy up front with the option to purchase your 4 attacks 6 hours later? Because if everybody played a perfect game, you could still full clear right off the bat.
Yeah. I think 10 up front is fine with a holdback on being able to use the remaining 4 for 6 hours. I think that any reduction, because going back to 6 is kind of like what we used to be, and whether we're spacing it out over 3.5 hours or we're waiting 12. Actually, I think if they're going to do the 12, that's worse than what it used to be with the 3.5. Because if you go back to most alliances can clear in 10 hits, then every 3.5 hours means generally, I'll use Zone 4 again, you start at 3 p.m. and then you're generally cleared by the midnight time frame.
Yeah.
But doing this full wait 12 hours is a huge, huge problem. And I think you're right in that what it's going to do is it's going to force people to buy the war energy as a way to get through it. And if people are buying, the question I have, and we have a call going on this week to follow up on a lot of this stuff too, is my question is, okay, so you get the 6 free energy up front, but if you bought the war pack, does that mean you can use the other 4 up front too? In which case they're not really solving anything then.
Yeah, no, it's designed, you get your 6 energy for free. You purchase 4 energy for free, or purchase 4 energy with your attacks up front. And then 12 hours later, you will be given another 4 energy. And Crying Joker, you're right. Limiting when you can buy the energy is a problem with the store refreshes. That would create an issue. So I guess you couldn't do that either. Basically, what they need to do is not change it, because not everybody, the majority of player base was happy with this. And they're using the minority as an excuse to sell more energy refills and to get people to log in more often.
Yeah, I agree. And to answer your question about where were they hearing it, I personally saw just a couple, maybe 1 or 2 voices at the most that were saying that there were concerns about this in terms of how it affected alliance mates in getting those particular events completed. And while I understand that and appreciate the concern for that, again, it goes back to my comment earlier, that's an alliance management issue that shouldn't be solved by the game.
That's right.
And so either let the alliance leaders work it out with their players, and or what we really aren't addressing, which is what needs to be addressed, is the structure of events, period. All events are just messed up right now, whether it's ones that are tied to war, or whether it's this most recent apocalypse event, which we know all the different issues that happened on that one. And so the events is really the topic that needs to be addressed, and stop changing game modes to not fix that problem.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the other changes that are prescribed for war? From what I understand, it's going to be an overall room bonus that will give the Secret Defenders the offensive edge, and mutants a defensive edge, with changes to the rooms so that they will have different adjacency bonuses. So we will see rooms being moved around and different targeting strategies. Do you like that they're mixing it up a little bit? Or do you have issue with that?
I do like the fact that they're not keeping wars as static as they've been, because they've been pretty static for very long periods of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So until the Nowhere Siege came, what's the last war change we really effectively had was when we added and went from 8 to 10 slots. That was really the only fundamental change since.
And that was simply to accommodate the massive rosters that we've developed over the past 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not adverse to that. I would be adverse if they got very prescriptive with it, like Crucible is, and I'm glad that that's ending this season, or this week rather.
From my understanding, they know not to be prescriptive like that. Now, of course, they won't tell you for certain that they will never do anything. They won't ever say, give you anything. Right. But they are aware that that prescription is bad, and they are trying to very heavily lean towards player agency and theory crafting. And I think that they may even be making a move to go back towards 2- and 3-man team releases instead of the 5-piece cookie cutters that we've seen for the last year.
Right. Yeah, so I think in terms of having some additional benefits for certain meta is not a horrible thing. I think, the jury's out, because they did this first season with an enhancement on Black Order, and depending on how they do a Black Order rework, which they alluded to as part of this, if they don't do something there, they're going to piss off a bunch of people that put some resources into Black Order without understanding that was a very, very, very temporary thing, and now it's wasted. So I think if they do come through with that, and again, we don't know what that's going to look like yet, that'll help. I think doing bonuses based on the generic category of mutants is not a bad idea, because then you do have quite a bit of theory crafting, because there are so many mutants in the game. So you do have some flexibility around that. I think if they came out and said specifically, Unlimited X-Men got specific room bonuses, that would be a problem. Yeah.
I think any time that they choose a tag with a wide range of characters behind it is going to be a good thing. It'll give you lots of room to work with. It's when you get a very specific tag that only has 5 or less characters, and you're like, oh, okay, they just want us to use this team, then it becomes really bad. What I can tell you about the Black Order rework, if it will, they had a lot of ideas, and nothing is set in stone. All that, subject to change, usual deal. But they wanted to put more of their focus on Thanos rather than the rest of his team. And they had several ideas of making him even a plug and play character, maybe making him work with other characters that utilize Infinity Stones. There's lots of things being said. I've got no idea where that's going to go. But another thing that was talked about was that if they do get into more of a seasonal change with War, that they would like to boost a team, and then afterwards, and I told, or I messaged them and said, if you're going to boost a team for a season of War, then you need to give it the Black Order treatment afterwards, so that people can and know that that's going to happen, so people can invest in that boosted team and know that afterwards it's going to retain its value because it'll get a light rework for other stuff. So those are, again, nothing set in stone. No one knows where it's really going to go, but these are all the ideas that were being spoken of.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, nothing feels worse than to invest in a team and then have it power crept or mitigated so quickly afterward. And I mean, we've already got power creep in the game, and we already got teams that are on their way out and or have been benched. And if they accelerate that time frame by saying, a war season or however long the war changes are going to be is, let's call it 4 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever. If a team becomes essentially invalidated after that, then people are just not going to bother investing in those teams at all.
Right. So I think what we need is I think what we need is clear communication on how long these new war seasons will last.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to any old team that receives the Black Order treatment if they're going to be reworked? Can you guarantee that they will get touched up afterwards so that people can go, okay, they're not meta by any means, but I can do stuff with them, and I think that would really help. I think that most everybody I've talked to does not like the 6+4. There's a few people that do for some reason. I don't quite understand that argument, but so far the overwhelming majority says we like it the way it is. Don't mess with it. They should probably consider changing their event structure to fix that problem rather than changing the structure of War. And finally, the zones. You don't like the idea of one zone. Do you think that they could make one zone and make it work? Is there a way to make one war zone with a restructured ELO?
Well, so the issue is it's not just the ELO that's the issue. That's a large portion of it, but the one zone thing has really felt for me since I first heard people talking about it, very much a kind of be careful what you ask for, right? It sounds okay on the surface when somebody, and I understand the perspective, somebody was saying in chat earlier that they said nothing worse than waking up and starting a war and seeing that you're just facing Sex Panthers or Onslaught,
right,
who's the top in a particular zone. But I mean, that's no different than other game modes, right? Like Crucible, all of a sudden you're facing a top 10 player, or Arena. It's just the nature of matches, and you're not always going to match somebody at or below your level. There's always going to be punch-ups to deal with. The thing that concerns me the most about this is it's not just fixing the ELO matchmaking. That's part of it, and there are concerns I have about that. So if they don't do anything to that, then what's going to happen is the top 8, 10, 15, 20 alliances are going to constantly face each other. And I know some people think that's the way it should be. Those are usually not the people in those alliances. Right. Now, while those people in those alliances do want to not deal with large punch-down wars, because those are not necessarily fun either, being somebody that runs wars or has run wars, 3 times a week, highly competitive wars, on top of everything else we have going on in game and our real lives, will just burn leaders and captains and those helping on wars out completely. Just because of the intense amount of involvement that's involved in running a competitive war. So while I don't like the large punch downs, and I'm sure on the reverse side people don't like the large punch ups, I think that you're going to risk burning out a lot of top players that way. That's number one issue, and a lot of leadership. The second aspect is if you do address the ELO and spread it out some way, whether it's your idea that you were mentioning earlier of some sort of bracketing, or if you change it from the current 8 war cooldown to something really drastic, right? Like say 20 wars. What's going to end up happening is if you bracket it, then you're going to be in the problem of people facing the same ones over and over and over again. And that's going to burn people out. If you spread it out too far, then what's going to happen is you're going to have Legion and Onslaught and Mutiny, and all of these top 10 alliances are always in the same war season ranks, season after season after season, because there's no competition that can creep up there. You know, people think that a big punch up is not winnable. Well, I was in Sex Panthers most recently, and Ceci's in chat, and he knows we beat Legion, a 260 million punch up. So people should never give up hope that there's not the possibility to do this kind of stuff. And the impact of that was, and I'm not doing this to pick on Legion, I'm just using it as a point, is that ended up causing Legion not to get their normal top ranking that season. You know, and so I think you run the risk of gaming it. If you spread it out too far, then the top alliances are always going to get the top rewards. And I think that there needs to be some challenge to that. So that's problem number one in terms of that. Problem number two, and I could argue all day that they need to fix the boost mechanics. The boost mechanics now are pretty insignificant, but it is still something that we do.
Oh, the boost mechanic helps certain like, you know, when like when I go into my rank, I still see standard 5-man hero for hire teams every once in a while, and when they're boosted, I'm like, sweet, that's just one more bleed going on the team. So the boost mechanic is a joke, you know.
Yeah, so I mean, they need to fix that, because with the current meta, the boost mechanics don't apply like they used to. But assuming that gets remedied or becomes more effective, if you go to one zone, you know, not every alliance is made up of players that are all from the same time zone. We know that. You know, there's generally a mix of players. Even in the top alliances, there's players that are from Europe and Asia, all intermixed amongst US players. And so if you do pick a, you know, say a 3 p.m. start time or 5 p.m. reset time for everybody, your international players are going to be asleep. And so they're not going to be able to get the boost in unless they change boost completely to where you can pre-boost, which I think that's going to open up a whole other set of problems too. Right. But so if they let you do pre-boost, then my argument about boost goes away, because then people are going to pre-boost things before the war starts, and then who cares if they're sleeping or not when it starts. There's what
would you say to doing away with the whole boost idea, or leave it, I don't care, but instead having something like a exhaustion resist, so that if they go into a team once where it would normally you'd come back in there and they would have 1 stack of exhaustion, they would no longer have that. You'd have to hit it twice to get a stack of exhaustion. Would that be too drastic a thing to implement?
I don't know enough about the coding behind the game, whether that's too problematic for them to try to do something like that.
Maybe somebody could go in afterwards and remove the exhaustion, but it would be costly. I think that's something they would go for, because it's a way they could definitely monetize that feature, and it would be a very powerful feature for people to use.
Yeah, no, I'm all for doing creative things like that, right? But I still don't think that solves the issue of availability of players, right? And so a single, you know, so like with Crucible, the availability issue doesn't matter, right? Because it's a one-on-one match. Who cares when it starts? You get it. You got 24 hours. You can get in and do it whenever. And one could argue that on Wars, it's less important now because there's no race to globals, and the final clear race is insignificant in that whoever clears first only gets 1 additional point. But I've seen, and Dorky talked about it this morning on his video, and I've personally seen in Ceci as well, that there are wars that are competitive that have literally come down to a difference of 2, maybe 3 points. Right. And that's because of the way the efficiency-based system is based now. And so while it seems on the surface that it's less important that everybody is on at the start, Clearing within the first X number of hours, though, is still an important thing, right? And so I think that becomes a problematic situation when you start dealing with international players and whatever that time zone ends up being. And then if they do some other wanky time that they pick, let's say they started at 9 a.m. every day, then you got a bunch of people are going to be upset because it's interfering with work days and you know, nobody likes that additional alliance pressure about, hey, war's going on in the middle of your workday, you got to get in and do it. And then, as I was mentioning to you earlier, I guess you weren't aware, there are occasions where, hypothetically, let's say Sex Panthers is due to match Onslaught this weekend, which is a major competitive war. Alliances will typically say, hey, what's everybody's availability this Saturday? Oh, okay, everybody's got a bunch of picnics to go to, or barbecues, or family events, or whatever. We just don't think we'll have the participation enough to be able to do it, so let's go change zones to one that fits everybody's real-life schedule for a war or two, so that we're not putting that extra, you know, guilt and pressure on people over the weekend. So
I didn't know that happened that much, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the flip side of that, I actually kind of like this, but I know some don't. There's the flip side of that perspective, which is it also allows people in top alliances to chase after other specific alliances when they want to do it. And some people are kind of adverse to that, and I understand the opposing point of it, but there is something kind of fun about that, right? There's an old adage about wars should be fought and at a time of your choosing. I forgot who said that. I think it might have been in The Art of War.
I think it's Sun Tzu, yeah.
Yeah, and so to me, I think that's an important thing. The other thing that comes from The Art of War is that wars are won before they're ever fought. And so there's a lot of psychological implications that go into the planning of wars and then how you execute them and all that. So I think the multiple zones gives people that flexibility that I think if you take that away might also burn some people out. That's my concern on that.
Updog mentions that during a call, they also threw out the idea of 2-day wars, so it'd be 48 hours instead of 24 hours. You'd be doing 2 wars per week as a possibility. We kind of jumped on them right away and said, no, don't do that. That's too much engagement. Like, their idea was that you would have less attacks, but our proof was that it was more screen time and it would be more engagement. It's too much. So we shot that down.
They were trying to sell that as, oh, we're cutting back. It's only 2 wars a week, not 3. But the reality is, most people aren't that stupid not to realize, let's see, 3 times 24 is less than 2 times 48.
Yeah. So, yeah, we shot that down pretty fast. I wouldn't be surprised if they still did it. We had a pretty negative response to 6+4, and sounds like they're going through with it anyway. So I'm pretty frustrated. But I think that both 6+4 and 1 zone, after having this conversation with you, and thank you, by the way, for coming and sharing with us, I think they both suffer from the same major issue, which is they don't really need to happen. And it's not going to make enough people happy to do it. So I think they should just not. I think until you come up with a real good solution, leave it 4 zones. And everybody that I talk to, the majority of the player base, especially, at least from my perspective, was very much happy with all your war attacks up front. They can fix the events to accommodate for those people who join war late and need those attacks. Or they could leave it up to the alliances to communicate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's similar to, we had somebody on the Player's Voice server, completely unrelated, that posted this suggestion, and I'll use it as an example of where we don't need the game to solve certain issues. Yeah. There's enough issues that we need the game to solve, but this is not one of them. So the suggestion had to do with recruiting and how sometimes lower end alliances have issues filling their rosters up, right? And so the suggestion, not to pick on them, but it's just a prime example, was if an alliance sits at 17 or less members for like 2 weeks or more, that the game automatically forces them to disband and go seek other alliances. And we just thought that was a horrible idea.
That's terrible.
That the game should not be mitigating your alliance structure, right?
Yeah, my first alliance never would have taken off the ground. It took me months to get 24 people going when I built an alliance. And then we ended up having a great time and becoming a fairly competitive alliance. I mean, this is back in the day when I thought top 200 meant something. And, you know, that's crazy. No, they definitely don't need to do that.
No, and a lot of times people want to play with friends, or they develop friendships over time, and the worst thing you can do is say, "Sorry guys, we're going to scatter you to the wind." And the
Mm-hmm.
game is forcing it, right? And we also know sometimes alliances merge, right? And so sometimes it might take a little time to make that happen, but you may be in a situation where two alliances weren't able to fill their rosters, and so at a certain point it makes sense to merge them. But we don't need the game to manage that. We need
Right.
people to deal with.
Right. What do you think
So
about, so if we have your three wars on, and then some, like you were saying, sometimes you just can't have everybody there. What if you were able to, every season of war, you would be able to tag one of your wars as an off war, where that wouldn't register into your ELO score. You, I don't know, maybe would get a reduction in rewards. I don't know, that sounds like a bad idea, but some way that you could say, hey, we're taking this war off. You can kind of screw around. It doesn't matter if you clear the helicarrier or whatever. Maybe your opponent, and then maybe it would like pair you up with other people who have tagged that as an off war. So I don't know, something like that, where the alliance leaders themselves could choose and say, okay, we're still going to go into war at the same Saturday or whatever, but it's going to be an
yeah.
off war for us, where we're just all going to agree not to play hard. Because I know a lot of the times the top alliances all go, hey, let's take this war off, and they talk to the opposing alliance, and everybody just kind of lays back a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's creative. I think if you limited it to like at max, you can choose one off war per season or something like that
Mm-hmm.
for Alliance. I think that would make sense. I think if you did it such where, yeah, you'd have to work out the logistical details. Does the opposing alliance who's still gunning for rank that season still get credit for that war, or because you chose it as an off war, does it not impact them, or things like that.
Right.
I think there's some nuances to it, but I think it's a creative idea that could help possibly with some of the lower alliances that are frustrated with big punch ups,
Mm-hmm.
where they could say, okay, because a lot of them do that today, right? Oh, you know what? This is too big. We're just going to take it off. Guys, just get your hits
Yep.
in whenever you
Don't
can.
buy your
We're gonna
extra
try-
attacks. Just do your thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, if I think that leads towards what I think people have really been asking for, alluding to, which is maybe make the rewards a little bit better for people in those kinds of situations where that doesn't feel bad. The flip side challenge of that is people also don't like losing, and I get that, and so a perception of, wow, this is just unattainable makes or will take away the motivation for some people. I think there's ways to mitigate that. So that's not it's a creative idea. I don't know what
My thinking is that I just feel from the conversations I'm having with Scopely that they are dead set on getting us to one war zone, and I'm looking ahead to try and figure out solutions to the problems that's going to make. And I'm seeing, I'm reading chat as it goes along. By the way, Wes, thank you for the follow way back when. I'm reading chat, and they're coming up with things. Elder just said you need off wars to manage ELO if that's your thing. So so maybe these things don't work, but I'm trying to figure it out, because I feel like they are definitely going to push for one zone, whether we like it or not. We told them 6+4 was a bad idea. That's going forward. I just feel like there's somebody with a clipboard that says, we need player engagement. We need to push these numbers. And so they're asking us to say that they asked us, but they're going to go through with it no matter what our response is.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. Like I said, the council, I know, has a meeting this week to talk specifically about these war changes. So I'll be curious to hear the feedback that comes out of that. The one zone I specifically asked that question on, and I think they've just been gathering input about it. I don't see that one as near term absolutely happening, as I do with some of the war changes that have been announced this week. I think that one we still have an opportunity to potentially head off, or at least give them some better ideas about.
I will give them hell on the call for me. Would you tell them Run 7 doesn't like 6+4 and Run 7 doesn't like one zone? I actually don't care about the one zone. That doesn't affect me, but I do want to do what's best for the community and best for the player base, because they've been really good to me, and I want to try and do my best as a community member. So Thanks, Beta, for coming on and talking to us about all this. I love having conversations with you. You're so incredibly smart and well connected, in the know kind of guy. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, no problem whatsoever. And to answer Updog's question, no, the player's voice movement is absolutely not mortal enemies of the Envoy.
I don't know where people are getting that from. There's no animosity between the two groups at all. In fact, a lot of the Envoys are super happy that the player's voice and the council are getting so much traction, because in some areas where we couldn't. And so it's we know there's nothing, there's no mortal enemies there at all.
Yeah, and I know our view too is that the Envoys are able to push on things that we haven't been able to do either, and that I'm all for the more voices pushing on the same issues, help steer the ship in a better direction. And so I think it's a two-tiered approach towards making changes that is going to be way more effective. So,
well, we're still waiting on word of a few things that you and I have spoken of behind closed doors, and so when we do get word, I think a lot of the Envoys are going to be getting together with you guys and having some good communication and talking about stuff, because there's a lot to be had, and I'm looking forward to that conversation.
Yep, me too. Sounds good. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to hop off, so have a good rest of your afternoon.
All right, thanks again. Take it easy.
Yep, see ya.
Beta Ray Bill, everybody. Me and Beta Ray were besties. We go back a long ways. He was at my wedding, both weddings, actually. He was there to help me with a divorce, too. We're best friends. Whenever he needs to move, I'm there with my pickup. You know, I don't like to name drop, but, you know, like, we're just, like, really good friends. I think that's the second time I've ever talked to Beta in person. No, third time, because we played Goose Goose Duck the other night. So, yeah. That was enlightening. Guys, thank you so much. I was reading along in chat during that conversation. Again, Wes, thank you for the follow. I saw you and your comments, and being able to read what you guys have to say during interviews and conversations with other people kind of like filters in, and it really helps me to know how you guys feel about these subjects as we talk about that. So thank you, chat, for being a part of that. Anyway, I'm going to do an arena attack. Okay. Archangel? What's Archangel doing in here? Oh, Blitz check. Thank you, Zoboy Fresh. Appreciate that. I'm gonna go do Blitz next, and then probably gonna cut this stream short. Nobody wants to do defense up recordings right now because the Crucible is gonna be ending soon. I actually did get somebody's war defense, and that's kind of cool. Let's go over here with this. So I will probably be doing that one tomorrow, but right now I'm just gonna have a chill day. My boys just got home late last night, and I want to go spend some time with them, so I will probably cut stream short a little bit early today. I was considering playing something else today, just getting on and doing like some Fallout 76 or something like that, because I've been playing that a little bit. But no, I'm gonna go play with my kids instead. I don't think it's gonna do any good to hit her with that, but we could go with this and get slow. I'll go here. West Goose Goose Duck is Among Us. It's a free version of Among Us. Like it's a ripoff of Among Us, but I like it a little bit better. They have some added features. It seems to run smoother, and it's free. Whereas if you're on Steam and you want to play Among Us, you have to pay like $5 or something. I know Among Us is free on some platforms, but some platforms it is not. Strategist working on it, yeah. My passion for the game, my passion is for the community. I am enjoying Marvel Strike Force more and more. But it's this, it was 2 steps back, 1 step forward for a while. Now I feel like it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And with the announcements of some of these war changes, I feel like that was a step back. It's among us with ducks, geese, and other avians. That's a good way to put it, Jumpy. Trouble in Terrorist Town. Never heard of that one. I'm gonna get my music back up. Let's go. I don't know. I want to do this song. I haven't. What is it? It's this song. Do that. I'll put it on random. Then we're gonna crank it up. I don't think this is the song I wanted, but whatever. Maybe it's this one. There we go. Yeah, I like this one. Okay. So after hearing Beta Ray talk to you guys about that, did you change your opinions over war? Do you still feel the same way? Do you think we should ever give Scopely any power to change any game mode ever, or do you think they will always change it for the worst? I don't know. I saw a lot of "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" going through chat today. TTT is the PC shooter version of Goose Goose Duck on Gary's mod. Huh. The current war season is pretty close to perfection. I'm thinking the next... Well, I do like that they're I do like what they did with the Black Order and then giving Thanos and Friends a light rework afterwards to help maintain the investment. That's good. I've seen the new War Room rules, or the ones that they were proposing, and I think that they're interesting and fun. I don't know for sure how they're going to play out, but I don't have any major problems with them. They seem very broad and allow for a lot of theory crafting, and that's always great. And if they did, you know, a few months of that and then changed it again, doing the same thing with another old team, I, for example, was throwing out that they should look at like X-Force, because it's an old war team that no one uses anymore, and they could give it this huge boost and then afterwards rework it so it's valuable somewhere doing something. Right? Like you make a thing in there that makes that old team, like X-Force, for example, super duper awesome. And you see how people react to it, what they do against it, how they use it, if it's for offense or whatever. And depending on that, then you can adjust their after-war rework to be something pretty cool. And so I like that. I'm enjoying what's going on and the propositions going forward. Again, I don't care about one war zone. I see a lot of things that can go wrong with that. I don't think it's going to affect my mid-tier war alliance. Depending on when the wars start or stop, doesn't really matter to me. However, the 6+4 pisses me off to no end, because I go in and I do my 10 attacks, and if I drop one attack or two, I purchase the war credits and do 2 more attacks. And if I nail all 10 attacks, good job, Run 7. You don't have to spend any war attack energy. And I think it's been great. And then I'll tune back in for the end of war to make sure that we've full cleared our helicarrier. And then I may spend some more or not, but it's all left up to me. The 6+4 feels like they're forcing me to buy those attacks, and I don't like that. I like that I can stream all 10 plus war attacks whenever I want, so long as war is live. So I want to do 10 attacks and check back later. Right. I want to do... You want to... So what do you mean, West? Do you want to do 10+4 and then check back in 12 hours? Or do you want to be able to do your 10 free war attacks and decide if you want to spend the attack energy later? Some alliances had top players that can do 12 to 14 hits, but bottom players can only really do 8 to 9 maybe. So this takes away the ability for them to balance that out. That is a good point. Those massive swings in TCP. We scale attacks by the size of players. I don't know, like I'm kind of happy with the way war is right now. And I don't mind if they make similar but different war room buffs. I don't mind if they change that up a little bit so we can strategize differently, move our rooms around, come up with different teams in those rooms. That's fine with me. But as far as the point system, 10 free and decide if it's needed for more attacks. Okay, yeah. So I still have yet to have someone say, no, I like this 6+4 idea. All right, bio team, don't fail me now. Here we go. What if they did 8+2? Yeah, we kind of went over that, Updog, and it still has inherently some of the same problems. You're still forcing people to buy 2 energy, which I would be more okay with that than 6+4. And we talked about 10 and then having your 4 later. That's still logging in twice. Basically, they're using an excuse of a minority problem to make changes so that they can increase the amount of times we need to log into the game. 8+2 is better than 6+4, but it's still worse than just straight up 10. Well, there you go, Elder. But the thing is that you have the control to do that. And maybe we'll be going into a great big alliance or some weird alliance that put lots of big teams up in a top room that we need to clear or something like that. Like, you jump in and somebody drills the middle and right beneath it is an important room, barracks or whatever's the important room these days. I don't know. I just go after red targets anymore. Pretty sure it's like med bay and barracks or something. Or barracks and armory. I don't remember. And that room opens up and it's all these great big powerful teams and everybody goes, Elder, come save us. And you come in with your superhero cape and you do all 14 attacks right off the bat. But that's your choice. You get to do that, you know? I am kind of curious what your superhero cape looks like, by the way, Elder. To be fair, I rarely use all 10 attacks up front because I have the highest TCP in my alliance. So there's another one, Ravar, like, yeah, you're gonna do that. But again, you might need to put on that cape and just come rushing in like Leroy Jenkins. But most of the time, yeah, but that's your choice. And then the rest, the other 23 people on your alliance are probably like, screw this. I wanna go eat lunch. Let's get this done and I'm out of here. It's the 12 hours I really dislike. 6 would be good enough. 6 hours would be good enough to alleviate that problem. They don't need it 12 hours later. That's stupid. That is definitely going to piss off people. 6 hours would have been good enough. Juicy resubscribing with Prime. Thank you, Juicy. Wow, did you see my bio team just absolutely fall flat on its face right there? Wow, that sucks. Oh well, somebody else can take care of that. I forget we're doing 1.4 now. We just moved up a difficulty. Yeah, they're gonna move to 6+4 no matter what. They've already said it's gonna happen. I just say that we all scream and bitch and go to Reddit and upvote the hell out of that post that's gonna say I hate 6+4. In fact, let's go to Reddit right now. And I'm not asking you guys because I think it's like illegal for me to tell you guys to go to Reddit and vote for a post. But let's see if there's a post on Reddit that says 6+4 sucks. We're gonna go to the Marvel Strike Force Reddit thing and just scroll through here. Why is G15 still meaningless for events? That's an advertisement. Ronan and Mockingbird confirmed. I thought it was Mockingjay. I don't know her name. Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer, insignificant. What former team? Nah. Wouldn't it be nice if MSF versus training, blah, blah, blah. Why would we ignore Strange? Yeah, everybody's upset about Strange. Level 90 Bionic Avengers and Incursion Raids. Yep, that was really crappy. Here we go. Okay, I don't see it in like the top 20 posts or whatever. So we're gonna create a post. I haven't done this in ages, man. I haven't create a post. I hate 6+4. 4. Pretty much sums it up. At least 20 characters. Man, how am I gonna make 20 characters out of that? Title pretty much sums it up. I hate 6 plus 4, comma, don't, because you guys said this so much. Don't fix it if it ain't broke. I am genuinely dyslexic. Stop making fun of me. Pretty. How do I spell pretty? How do you spell pretty? Pretty much. It says that it's misspelled. Title pretty much sums it up. Okay, I did spell it. Why is it giving me a squiggly line? Okay, and then this is gonna be like... Post it. Can I just post it? Your post must contain flair. What the fuck is flair? It's a... discussion? Is it a discussion or is it miscellaneous? Can I make my own flair? Bad ass statement with an exclamation point. Can I apply that? It won't let me apply that. Come on. All right, it's a discussion then. Fine. There we go. I hate 6 plus 4. Don't fix it if it ain't broke. Let's see where that goes. I haven't done that in a long time. Normally when I post to Reddit, I just immediately go get in the fetal position for the next 24 hours because anytime I glance at those comments, ooh, it just hurts. The level of effort is outweighing the likelihood they will listen. I just wrote 2 sentences and ticked on a flare box there. Man, that wasn't a whole lot of effort. Okay, let's see. Oh, I gotta do a blitz rotation? Son of a bitch. Let's go to this one, because I can get one more actual team out of it. My Vol's still 3 stars. What do you guys think of me going back to spending? I'm still contemplating this. Most ever was trying to spell pretty. I spelled it right. You just need to get enough engagement for Boomer to send it in. Saini, I can send it in myself, man. But you're right. If it has a lot of engagement, then Boomer can send it in, and they'll notice. Boomer will send in stuff that has like 5 upvotes, though. Like if there's a real issue that we think is genuine. Better question, what do you think about it? What do you mean, what do I think about it? Pathfinder, did you want to come and talk, buddy? I'm back in the channel, man. If you want to come talk, jump in there. I know you were probably jealous that Beta Ray was hogging my ears, but you can come talk with me.
What's going on?
We were talking about 6 plus 4 and how it appears that the majority of everyone really does not like it.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, everybody. That's Pathfinder Gaming's words of wisdom. Ugh, yeah.
I was talking about your question about spending.
Oh, my question about spending. Better question.
Yeah,
what do I
think
think about it? So I'm torn. And you know me, I flip-flop on everything because I'm so open-minded to what everybody tells me. The test server is doing nothing for me. I wanted to utilize the test server so I could play with the characters, get a feel for them, and start learning
I deleted the test server off my computer. I'm done with it.
Yeah, exactly. It's worthless. It's absolutely worthless. And so now I'm like, okay, I would like to, at the very least, get these characters when they appear. So I was thinking if I purchase their smallest offer to unlock them, I can then build them up and use them. And then I was like, oh wait, there's a part of that sentence that isn't gonna work. I can't build them up. I have 4 characters at level 1 that need to be built before I even get to the next characters, because I want Black Cat, so I have to build Nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have the gold reserves to do that. I'm still trying to get my raid teams up and running. And so that means if I start buying a $50 offer or a $25, I don't know. Do they still have $25 offers? I don't know.
They did with Sylvie, and they did with Vol.
Okay.
So on the 45 shard unlocks, it seems like that is potentially an option going forward.
Okay, well, that's what I would do. I would buy the smallest unlock offer for all the characters that come out, just to unlock them. But then I would need to spend even more money to build them up. I would need some sort of a gold offer, and I was looking for gold offers, and I said, fuck that. No way am I spending $10 for like 500,000 gold.
Yeah.
It was absurd. It was absolutely absurd. And I know there's some sort of gold offers that like you unlock a character and it gives you, or like you purchase the unlock offer and it gives you a gold offer behind it. But I hear those are still crappy too, right?
I mean, none of the offers are what I would consider to be like amazing offers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's so much about perspective. Like, and man, this might actually be a good video topic, because I feel like there's things that you have to force yourself to consider if you actually want to spend money in this game. Like, number one, and the most important question, do you actually have the money to do it? Because
Right.
anybody thinking about it that doesn't have the money, please stop and please get help from somebody. Reach out to somebody, because if you don't have the money to buy stuff in this game, it's going to be a huge detriment on your life.
You need
And-
genuine disposable income.
Like, please don't spend money if you don't have it. Like, that's thing number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like the second biggest thing that people should ask themselves is, does this take me to a higher place in the game, or am I going to be more competitive in something that I wouldn't have been before? Because my second point is that you can overcome a lot of that stuff via the people you play with and the alliance that you're in. Like, if you're doing 1.3 in Incursion and your raid teams are built, you bringing anything else higher does not increase your chances of getting to 1.4 unless your alliance is in that same spot.
Right.
Like, you need to move somewhere that they are doing 1.4, they are doing 1.5, and then you'll reap more rewards out of that.
Right.
And
So
then-
I'm doing really well at 1.4. I feel like I'm able to get done what my alliance wants me to get done in 1.4. And I feel like if I start buying characters like the Bifrost team, well, I'd buy Sylvie, I guess. And then when a tech team comes out, I would buy them, and I would be like because half my alliance purchases, half doesn't, and I would be in the top half of that alliance. And I'm wondering, would that progress me out of the alliance that I'm so comfortable in right now and put me in a problem where I'm just struggling in a higher tier of alliance, you know?
I do feel like your play can overcompensate a lot of things. Like, your ability to play the game,
Right.
if you are capable of learning and practicing, what I'm trying to say is you can be in a higher alliance. Like, it's very possible.
Right.
Like,
I'm certain that if I stopped using the sim button,
Yeah,
I could
exactly.
definitely join a 1.5 alliance. I like simming. I've got things to do. I don't find raids all that fun, especially once I figure out how to manually play through it and I can beat that raid without losing a member, like 3 times in a row. I might as well just auto it. There's no more fun in it for me until we go up to the next difficulty. So I'm happy just simming until we have a push day.
And I thought that I couldn't compete in, like, because I'm starting to like more and more. I for a long time thought there's no way I can compete like in a high level of war. And I moved to a war alliance and I was like in the top 10, like, and I was doing fine. So there's this like mentality, and also the mentality of like, well, I don't want to leave my alliance. Like, that's fine, that's understandable, that's admirable, whatever you want to call it. They will understand if it's not something that like you're aspiring to anymore. If you want to be in a chill alliance for a while, be in a chill alliance. You want to be in a hardcore alliance, go be in a hardcore alliance, but don't be unhappy doing one of those things in an alliance that will not get to that point.
Right. I think the biggest thing, and Juicy kind of points this out in his comment in chat, one of my biggest reasons for wanting to purchase these characters and unlock them early is because I can't practice with them on the test server. That's not working for me. So I want to be able to practice with them as soon as I can in game. Now, if I could unlock them, and if I had the resources to build them up to a usable level where I could start playing with them, I would be able to learn these kits. I was dicking around doing that Wacky Workout Wednesday thing, and I was trying to memorize these kits by reading them, and it just wasn't working. It wasn't sticking in my head. The other thing that I'm thinking of, and this is probably actually the route I'm gonna go, is I'm gonna go in here to this one right here. This is the Bifrost Test Drive. It's all 5 characters unlocked, and I can go in and use them. Now, unfortunately, the matchups are so easy that it's just hit auto and you go right through it. But this does give me the opportunity to go through these characters without spending any money on them, and I can learn their kits this way. And so this is kind of what I'm leaning towards doing, is playing with the team manually like this, taking the time to read these and go, oh, okay, this does flip speed up, apply slow. So maybe I want to start with this one down here because it gives offense down for 2 turns. That might be the way to go, which it just deleted Thor, so obviously it's a little easy, but you get the point.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of pulling back from the idea of going back to spending. I think that I'm trying to dilute myself into, like Juicy says, thinking that it'll somehow help me make better content. There are ways for me to improve my content and be better with my play in Marvel Strike Force without having to spend money.
Yeah, I mean, people who don't spend money in this game make bad content too. So, I mean, people that spend money make bad content. People that don't spend money make bad content.
Yeah.
People that don't spend make good content. People that spend make good content. It's kind of all over the board, right? It's like you as a person that is in charge of making the content, right?
Yeah, that's why I watch all of you content creators and point to the ones who I think are doing the best job. By the way, Pathfinder has a War Changes video as well. I know I plugged Mobile and Valleys, but yours was really good too. They all kind of basically said the same thing. The reason I pointed out Mobiles and Valleys was because they had a little bit of back and forth and a little more.
Yeah, and I don't want to say too much.
Well, right, because they were kind of ambiguous on the embargoes of what we can say and what we couldn't say.
Cleaning Agent, you fall under the good content, buddy. Just FYI.
Cleaning Agent has the best content. That's why he's the only content creator that I have a monthly revolving subscription to, is Cleaning Agent. Also, because I continually forget to deactivate it. No, I'm kidding. Cleaning Agent, 100%. So, yeah. All right, I'm done playing Marvel Strike Force. What are you doing, Pathfinder? You gonna start streaming?
No, I am not. I just got out of a work call and gonna be going into another one here soon, and saw you were on, so thought I would pop by.
Oh yeah, I had a lovely conversation with both you and Beta Rebuild this stream. That was a lot of fun. And so I think I'm gonna call it a day and end it on a stop while I'm ahead, man. And let's find out who's streaming today. Man. Ambassador Al, the only other streamer doing Marvel Strike Force right now. All right. Well, thanks, Pathfinder. Appreciate you coming on. And thank you, everybody in chat. Juicy for the sub, Gnomes for the sub, and West for the follow. Always appreciated, never expected. I was just happy people showed up. I was happy to have some good conversations and just chat about Marvel Strike Force, one of my favorite things to do. I think I spelt his name right. Oh, I got it right. Look at that. All right. Y'all have a good day. Have a great week, everybody. I'll be back here tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a War Defense review. I'm not really sure. But yeah, y'all enjoy. Take care. Bye.